Hey, John with Simple Property Management. Today, I want to talk about why you would want to use a professional property manager. And I want to stress that professional because not all property managers are the same. So the first reason obviously would be 24/7 coverage. It's one of the best reasons to have a management company. You don't have to worry about it. If you're at your kid's baseball game, dance recital, sleeping, overseas, on a boat, swimming, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. A professional property manager will cover you. So for example, if we're at our kid's baseball game and an emergency call comes in, we're going to handle it because we want to make sure that your property is handled and that no damage is happening at your property. We also know that there are a ton of different things that happen in management. So we actually have 49 processes and growing in our management company, things that you'd never even think about. Let's say that a tenant wants to get off a lease or a tenant wants to add somebody to a lease, lease modification, mid-lease, tenant assisted inspections. There's tons of them. So there are a lot of things to do in property management, and your professional manager has you covered. We have vetted vendors. So when somebody calls in and they have, let's say their sink's leaking or their heat is out, or they have, their doors coming off their hinges, we know who to call. We vet them, make sure that they're licensed if needed and insured. If we need to find a new vendor, let's say it's a new area and we just don't have a vendor for that area, we'll find a vendor, we'll vet them, we'll make sure that your property is taken care of. Liability, obviously another big one. We have seen a lot of things. We can see liability before it even pops up. So we see it, we make sure that it gets handled before it turns into a lawsuit. We have tons of experience. A good manager has tons of experience. For example, how many times do we get a single family home and the owner pays the water? The reason is because water stays with the property. So if the tenant doesn't pay, tenant moves out, there's a $500 bill, the owner gets stuck with that bill. Well, what we do and what a professional property manager should do, especially on a single family home, is they pay that bill on behalf of the owner, make sure it gets paid, it doesn't stick with your property taxes, and then they turn around and they bill that tenant for the water usage. This helps the tenant make sure that they call when there are, a toilet's running. They take more responsibility for maintenance issues if they're paying the water. We're also going to help spot things like I would say the main one right now is we see a lot of people that are underinsured. Now, we are not an insurance broker, but just looking at it, seeing what's out there, talking to our attorneys, we know that most people are underinsured. So our experience in this really lends itself to helping our owners kind of align what their goals and keep their goals with what they want to do with their property. We're also going to, we just handle work orders, troubleshooting, work orders. We handle delinquency, evictions. We handle questions on the lease. We handle tenants unhappy because their parking spot is taken, or maybe they have pest issues. We handle that every day. So, from our experience, we are really good about taking all the emotion out of it, looking at the lease, saying, what does the lease say about this? And we just go off the lease. Treat everybody with respect, obviously, but sometimes we have to be tough with them. Financial benefits, a good experienced property manager is going to lease properties faster. You're going to have fewer vacancies. We also know what to look for with applications. So we have fraud detection in on our applications. So if somebody gives us a fake check stub or fake W-2, which happened about a month ago, actually, our system catches that, it flags it, automatic denial. We also know what to look for on their credit reports, on their background checks. We, of course, make sure that we go through with previous landlord verifications, things like that to make sure that you, as the owner, bring in as much money as possible off your property. We also have, our rent collection is streamlined. It's consistent, which is good for fair housing, and it means consistent cash flow for our owner. We also have preventative maintenance programs. So for example, we ship the tenant furnace filters anywhere from 3 to 4 times a year. Many people I've heard say, well, I just put filters by the furnace. Well, that doesn't work. People forget about it. But when they get that furnace filter in the mail, it reminds them to change it, change the furnace filter. We also will do things for some owners if they want us to, like cleaning gutters, um, power washing, things like that. Dealing with Uncle Sam. The good manager is going to know the landlord tenant law and the fair housing law, how judges interpret that, how judges work in that city. They're also familiar with city inspections. And, for example, Grand Rapids has the application ordinance. So they're up to date with any changes that have happened with that, making sure that everything is compliant to, again, lower the liability for our owners and continue to have their property go up in value. We're the professional buffer. So manager is going to kind of be that buffer and keep everything professional. We're not, hugging and kissing. Gosh, that would be terrible. We're not doing any of that. It's a professional relationship. It's a business transaction. And that is a main reason, I think, to use a manager. They keep everything business. So they make sure that the tenant stays up on their end of the bargain per the lease. And they also make sure that the owner stays up with their end of the bargain per the owner agreement, local laws and restrictions, all that kind of stuff. So you don't have to be the bad guy. We'll be the bad guy if we need to. It's fine. We do this every day. It also means more cash flow for you. It's proven that property managers bring in more rent, a higher percentage of rent than an owner, operator, landlord. This makes sense. Think your CPA or your investment advisor. They are going to hopefully, and most of the time, make more money for you or CPA, make it so you pay Uncle Sam less than what you would if you did it yourself. Just like, I think about an auto mechanic. I could do my own brakes, but it's probably not going to be as good of a job and there could be issues. So I bring my car and truck to a mechanic. So that's the way I kind of think about it. It makes sense when you have a professional manager that does this 24/7, they're going to collect more rent. What else? So overall, a good property manager, we're going to boost your investment. We're going to protect your investment. We're going to save you time and hopefully at the end of the day, make you more money, not just in normal day-to-day rent collection, but throughout the whole life cycle of the property, making sure that that property goes up in value. I do hear that from time to time where an owner is like, hey, why do we have to spend this on that? But you have to remember, it's more than just rent collection. Like if that roof is bad, you have to replace it. But it's also going to improve the value of your property. So if you have any questions, as always, give us a call or shoot me an email, John with Simple Property Management. Thanks. Have a great day.